One day, an unexpected apocalypse unfolds on Earth, destroying cities and forcing millions to flee. But only one man must head straight into the heart of the threat. A young couple arrives for an ultrasound to find out the gender of their baby. The doctor tells Sam and her fiancé Will that they are having a boy, and he is perfectly healthy, which makes the couple ecstatic. They part ways on the street because Will has to travel to Chicago to meet her parents. Before he leaves, Sam wishes him luck, since her father is known to have a difficult personality. Will kisses her and heads off. However, Sam's father, a former military man named Tom, acts quite coldly, making it clear he believes Will is not good enough for his daughter. During dinner, he bluntly says he won't help the couple buy a house, as Will might then be entitled to his money in case of a divorce. Will is shocked. Did Sam ask her parents for help? He's doing well financially. But Tom reminds him that Will was unemployed for a long time. However, things have changed now, and Will is planning to start his own business. Tom's wife tries to calm her husband down a bit, but he starts lecturing them, bitter over his daughter leaving him. The dinner ends with harsh words, and Will returns to his hotel room without mentioning Sam's pregnancy or their upcoming wedding. In the morning, Sam wakes Will with a call, reminding him not to miss his flight. Suddenly, loud crashing sounds erupt around her, and the power goes out. The girl screams in fear, and the call cuts off. Will rushes to the airport only to find that his flight to Seattle is delayed. TV news reports say an earthquake has hit the Southern California coast, but the broadcast cuts off. Will decides to go back to Tom's house. On the way, he tries to reach his fiancée, but there's still no signal. Her parents are also in the dark and can't get through to their daughter. Tom asks Will in detail about their last conversation and then analyzes what little information they have. A few hours ago, something happened in California, and now the power is out everywhere, even 2,000 miles from the epicenter. One thing is clear, they can only rely on themselves. Tom sends his wife to stay with their son, while he and Will head out to find Sam. They set off in Tom's Cadillac. Stopping at a gas station, Tom asks Will to fill up the tank while he heads to the ATM, as only cash is being accepted everywhere. While Will is pumping gas, a beautiful woman approaches and asks for a ride. When he refuses, several men show up to back her up. It becomes clear it's a setup, but Tom quickly diffuses the situation by pulling a gun. A short distance down the road, Tom scolds Will for his indecisiveness. If they had lost the car, their journey would have been over. Will agrees but insists that an office worker isn't supposed to carry a gun, and he never imagined he'd need one. Tom's car continues down a heavily congested highway until they find soldiers blocking the road. Claiming he served as a Marine Corps officer, Tom convinces them to let his vehicle through. As they proceed along the highway, the pair notices a train loaded with military equipment. That same night, they drive past a high-security prison where picking up hitchhikers is strictly prohibited. Suddenly, a police car catches up with them. Tom reluctantly complies with the order and pulls over to the side of the road. Will gets out of the car just as an escaped convict armed with a shotgun appears in front of them. Tom slams on the gas. The criminal gives chase while Will frantically tries to load bullets into the pistol's magazine. The fugitive rams their Cadillac with his vehicle, but Will manages to stay calm and, following Tom's instructions, attempts to fight back. They almost get away, but their car is damaged. Tom loses control and the vehicle spins out, crashing onto the roadside. When Will regains consciousness, the convict is already nearby. But Tom proves to be faster and stronger. However, he suffers broken ribs as a result of the crash. In the morning, they use the police car to tow their damaged vehicle to the nearest auto shop located in a Native American reservation. There, they are greeted by a tough-looking female mechanic who immediately asks to see the money. After receiving the cash, Ricky inspects Tom's car while Will tries to clean himself up. He notices local men silently sitting at a table, listening to the radio. The broadcast offers no real information. No one knows what's going on, and the government remains silent. People watch the sky in fear as strange phenomena unfold. An entire flock of birds flies in circles, forming bizarre patterns, as if they've lost their sense of direction. Later, Ricky reports that their radiator is leaking and offers to show them how to fix it in case it happens again. Tom suggests that she come with them, especially since she had planned to leave anyway, and he promises good pay. But Ricky makes a valid point. The guys showed up in a bullet-riddled car that belonged to missing cops, with blood on their faces, so their invitation sounds suspicious. Tom explains everything that happened and warns her that it's too dangerous to go off alone. Ricky then agrees to join them. She packs her tools, siphons gas from the police car, and Tom disables the taillights so they won't be visible. The trio sets off. That night, Will spots another vehicle and, following Tom's orders, pulls over to the side of the road. After waiting for the car to pass, Will drives behind it. Suddenly, Ricky distracts him, pointing to a spinning compass needle, and Will nearly crashes into an oncoming vehicle which swerves out of control and flips over. Will rushes to the wreck and finds a dead woman in the driver's seat and a dying man next to her. Tom orders him to leave them, saying they're beyond help. Will and Tom return to their car, but Ricky hesitates. When another vehicle arrives and several men jump out and run toward her, Tom barely manages to grab her and drag her away, furious. There was a deal. Obey his orders without question. Soon after, they stop to pour gas from a canister. Will notices strange clouds unlike anything he's ever seen before. Suddenly, a dry thunderstorm begins. Lightning strikes the ground, igniting everything around them. Then, a torrential downpour begins like a waterfall, and they are forced to take shelter under a bridge. The third day of their journey begins. Burned-out cars line the roadside, but Will assumes it's just from the storm. He decides to stop by friends who live nearby. At the entrance to the town, a police unit is stationed, and the group is allowed to enter only after Will proves he really is going to visit friends. Even so, their vehicle is followed by armed men, which raises serious concerns. The friend's wife greets the travelers with surprise. It turns out her husband left on a business trip right before the mysterious cataclysm began, and she is extremely worried about him. Will reassures the woman, telling her that her husband is a strong and intelligent man. The group cleans up and prepares to continue their journey, but the hostess breaks down in tears, convinced something bad has happened to her husband and that this won't be over anytime soon. Will comes back to comfort her, and the three set off again. Soon, they spot a crashed military aircraft on the roadside. Could someone really have shot it down on US soil? A bit later, they stop at an abandoned house, and Ricky joyfully jumps into the pool, only to immediately leap back out when the water turns out to be hot. The men laugh, but military helicopters flying overhead are a grim reminder of the reality they're facing. Tom asks Ricky to take care of the gasoline while he and Will search for food. During the supply run, Will suddenly notices Tom coughing in a troubling way. That night, their phones suddenly flicker to life for a brief moment. Tom receives one final message from his daughter, where she tells him she loves him, but he can't get through to his wife. Soon they see a group of people walking along the road, and ahead of them appears a burning city. But there's no other route, so they must go forward. When their car is blocked by a vehicle in the road, beside which stands a woman with her hands up, Will stops. But as he steps out to help her, they are attacked by robbers. A fight breaks out. Will and Tom are forced to raise their hands. The bandits steal their gasoline and drive off. Without fuel, they are doomed, so Will chases after the fleeing car. Ricky shoots out the tires and the vehicle flips over, surrounded by fire, and with gas leaking from the wrecked car, they barely have time to recover their fuel cans before everything explodes. Ricky is deeply shaken by the fact that people died because of her. Upset, she quietly leaves them without saying goodbye. The men continue on. Tom's condition worsens, and his coughing grows severe. Eventually, they come across a derailed train carrying military equipment. While Will looks for fuel, Tom begins to suffocate, and Will is forced to perform a tracheotomy. After regaining consciousness, Tom asks Will about his father, who left him and his mother when Will was still a child. Will explains that his father now lives not far from here with a new family, and that they occasionally see each other. Then Tom suddenly asks Will to promise that he'll take care of his daughter. It turns out he knew about the pregnancy all along. That night, their car is stopped on a bridge by armed motorcyclists. Will pretends to comply, but then slams on the gas, turning the car around and shooting while weaving down the road. He manages to scatter their attackers, while Tom uses the last of his strength to shoot down a pursuing pickup. They manage to escape, but when Will eventually stops the car, he realizes Tom has already passed away. He continues driving until the car finally runs out of fuel. Then he burns it, along with Tom's body, and proceeds on foot. On the fifth day, a pickup truck with a family inside stops for him. The driver agrees to give him a ride if he hands over his gun. Will agrees. During the ride, they talk about the events that have unfolded, but no one really knows what's going on. Eventually, Will brings the family to his father's house in the woods, where there are plenty of supplies. They rest that night, and in the morning, Will suddenly announces that he's taking the Jeep. The family can stay here as long as they want. The man agrees. Will drives the Jeep toward Seattle. 30 miles from the city, the air becomes nearly unbreathable, and the road turns white from ash. Will finds a gas mask and continues forward. The situation grows increasingly dire as he sees dead people buried in their cars under a thick layer of ash. But what shakes him the most is the panorama of the destroyed city. Finally reaching Sam's ruined apartment, Will finds a message she left for him with the address of a cabin in the woods where he can find her. Overjoyed to know his wife is alive, he heads out through the burned and devastated city and soon reaches a forest road guarded by armed men. But when he fires into the air as a warning, Sam runs out onto the road. The happy couple embraces, unable to believe they both survived. Will tells Sam about her father's death, honoring his strength and bravery, because without him, he truly wouldn't have made it. That night, Will steps outside the cabin and sees the northern lights overhead. He thanks Sam's neighbor Jeremy for saving her. And Jeremy shares his theory about the catastrophe. He believes it was caused by a nuclear attack, and that the government is trying to cover it up. Will doesn't believe in such paranoia. Suddenly, Jeremy asks to see Will's gun and casually checks whether it's loaded, only to find it isn't. Will and Sam head back inside the cabin, though Will is disturbed by Jeremy's behavior. The next morning, he finds the neighbor near his car. Jeremy admits he can't leave the area alone, and that he saw 2 children in the forest earlier. He suggests they search for them. The men head into the woods. On the way, Will suggests that Jeremy come with them, but Jeremy suddenly declares that he has a claim on Sam since he saved her and pulls out a gun. But Will is faster. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake. Realizing something terrible is about to happen, Will grabs his fiancée, puts her in the car, and drives her away from the approaching burst of fire, ash and shockwaves from an erupting volcano. That's where the film ends. Let us know in the comments if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.